What's up, everybody? We are back for part two, like we promised, to the Sarah Rector build. I hope everyone has enjoyed their wonderful Saturday. So, we're gonna get into some things earlier. Um, we kind of started off our build talking about some interesting dynamics between Black Americans and Russia. So, if you wanted to kind of get acquainted with that subject matter, because I know that a lot of us, this is something new, okay? We ain't never heard about Russia and Necros um, doing anything together. So, go back and listen to that build and we're going to continue the conversation. We got Z back in the building.
What
So,
up, y'all? What up? What up? What up?
what's up? What's up? What's up? I'm excited to be back.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
Hey,
yeah, oh yeah.
hey. How you feeling? How you feeling, girl?
I feels real nice,
Mmm.
real nice. I'm ready for this
Real
information, baby.
nice and proper.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Ready, ready,
Okay.
ready.
I hope everyone has enjoyed their lovely Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Had to get some things done earlier, so we had to reconvene so we can get back into some things. Okay,
Absolutely, baby. Because life be life, okay.
all the time. You still got to adults. Okay,
Yes,
you still
you
got
got a
to
life to life, baby.
Okay, let's get to it. So, how did you feel about the last video, girl?
Well, I enjoyed it, and like I said, that blew my cap all the way back. Okay. Oh,
Mm.
I wasn't ready. I was not ready. Okay, was not ready. That was
Mm.
that was heavy, but it was good. It was necessary. It was good information. It was great information. Um, learned learned a whole lot. I love learning. Hey, you ain't never too old to learn. Okay, never ever ever. So
What
I
message should
appreciated
our
that.
people take away from that bill? Because that was heavy.
Ooh, it's so many lessons. I feel. Um, I really feel like it's gonna be different for everybody that listens to it
Hmm.
because there's so many factors to take into account. Um, and we're all on different levels of our understanding of how a lot of this stuff goes. You know, for some people,
Hmm.
it might click right away because they're really into politics. They may not have known what you were talking about, like I didn't, but they're like really heavy into politics and heavy into these people you were talking about, these characters and this history. So it just really depends on where you are at in your life and what type of mindset you have. I think it's going to hit a lot of people different ways. But what I do know is that everybody's going to stop and think. You couldn't possibly hear the information that was shared earlier and not just take a pause to let that sink in, to think about it, to process it. You know what I'm saying? To put one and two together and know that it makes three. Um, so you would understand that it made perfect sense and it was facts. It was facts. So for me, to each his own when it comes to how you take this information in. But as long as you take it in and you process it, to understand it and keep going, don't just stop. Don't just stop there. Keep understanding what is going on in your world today, you know? So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I would say, please have an open mind when we're discussing a lot of the information that we will be dropping on our podcast because most of the information is hidden. You know what I'm saying? This is not information that they readily share with the people. So the things that we're digging in the crates for, most of us have never heard, right? So
Mm,
just keep in mind, baby, it's a lot that we do not know. Okay, and we're still trying to uncover. But at this point, I feel like our people have nothing to lose, baby. We shouldn't be siding with nobody at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's all up in the air, and we
absolutely.
shouldn't, and our minds should not already be made up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
So,
100% agree with you on that. So what we got?
yes,
What we got? What we got? What we got? Oh, I can't wait. It's about to be real. Y'all think earlier was a good conversation, baby.
yes.
Talk about it.
So, we're gonna get into some music real quickly. Continuation of
All right.
earlier. So let's get into it. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Then I'm gonna drop this. Let's go.
Let's go.
Just get her, man. Look. Ever since a youngin', I've been running, getting to the cake. Dog, you ain't 100, this 100. Let me demonstrate. If she ain't got brains, then I ain't tryna penetrate. And if you ain't a stand-up need you could get your dinner ate. I ain't buying all that real shit. Dog, you been a fake. Took her on a dinner date. Now we on the interstate. Might be a rookie in the game, but I've been a great. And we about autonomy, dog. We ain't tryna integrate. Man, we ain't tryna integrate. Was broke back then, now the youngin' seeing different cake. We don't go off feelings, we just make sure that the business straight. And if you ain't an intellect, then you can't get a penetrate. Local need you, now I'm getting love all in different states. Gotta need you, if you ain't got scars, then you can't relate. Preach to niggas, I'm just tryna make sure that my people straight. Woke nigga in a sleep world, tryna keep awake. Man, I'm just tryna keep awake. Bodies dropping in my city, damn Perry, keep awake. How another black man, yeah, I make it make sense. When the system got y'all niggas going through the same shit. Ever since a youngin', I've been running, getting to the cake. Dog, you ain't 100, this 100, let me demonstrate. If she ain't got brains, then I ain't tryna penetrate. And if you ain't a stand-up need you could get your dinner ate. I ain't buying all that real shit, dog, you been a fake. Took her on a dinner date, now we on the interstate. Might be a rookie in the game, but I've been a great. And we about autonomy, dog, we ain't tryna integrate. Say you shoot, what's your resume? Let me see the proof. Drilling shit, where your gang at? Let me see your troops. Getting money, pull up stunting on them. Let me see your coupe. Genocide, they pointing weapons at you. You don't even shoot. Real nigga, how you say you real? You don't love your peeps. Family man, grind, feed your family, nigga, fuck the streets. Sliding on each other when the government the enemy. If we come together, we got power, nigga, in the beef. For real, nigga, in the beef. You ain't getting money, ain't no reason to be in the streets. Striving to be legends, we ain't trying to be a memory. And now you ain't my nigga, you my Niji Aborigine. Ever since a youngin', I've been running, getting to the cake. Dog, you ain't 100, this 100, let me demonstrate. If she ain't got brains, then I ain't tryna penetrate. And if you ain't a stand-up need you could get your dinner ate. I ain't buying all that real shit, dog, you been a fake. Took her on a dinner date, now we on the interstate. Might be a rookie in the game, but I've been a great. And we about autonomy, dog, we ain't tryna integrate. We ain't tryna integrate with none of y'all. Autonomy over equality. so dope, my eyes low. When you move like God, the time slow. I came back for the blacks and John Doe's. Crack open them land patents, let go of them townhomes. What's a native to a native? Eat $5 dough if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation. Yeah, God's children. Give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you with God or Christians. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English potted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't act like y'all don't know. But fuck them and they grudges. We was something turned to nothing. And now we nothing's turned to somethings. Reincarnation of ancients, fresh up out the oven. This the message to the black man. 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 Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the coop. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. Say you wasn't slaves, you was prisoners of war. You stop wasting your time, these other bitches ain't important. You ain't meditating, you ain't mating with the sauce. Like what the fuck's a noodle if you ain't painted with the sauce? I find it hard to trust the pastor who rather side with the master, who preaching we should submit while getting murdered and captured. About how we should wait on God is never our vernacular. They get paid and praised by the dollar long as they keeping us stagnant. And niggas think they woke, huh? Like you could change a whole world through a vote, huh? Like slave masters willing to let they slave go, huh? That slave master was probably your kinfolk, huh? History in reverse, a black king strategy. When blacks were your majesty, they always hide your pyramids but point to where the castles be. Aristocracies with your last name patented accurately. Yeah. And I ain't even tell half the shit. Like, I ain't even tell a quarter of the shit. I'm just getting started. Y'all niggas rap about busting guns and all this weird shit. I'm trying to get my people back, nigga.
Yes. We are back.
Woo, baby, baby,
Yee. Don't they be dropping it?
baby.
Yes, that's why I had to drop that last line of Job Brix's integrate into the chat. He was like, the last line said autonomy over equality, baby. That was it. That was it, baby. That said it.
That had me right there too.
And let me tell you, I keep saying it. These guys are freaking geniuses. Like for him to leave that as the last line of that song, pure
Hmm.
genius. I
You got it.
know that that went over so many people's heads. Like we rather have our autonomy over this equality that y'all talk about so much. I'd rather be free than to be equal with some of you. You know what I'm saying? So I just found that that was extremely genius of him to um drop that at the end of his song. So you guys go and check out Jabrix, Trey Ali, um, and our boy Threads 3000. They be on a ish, okay?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes. So yeah, we are here for the Sarah Rector of it all, okay? We promised y'all that we was gonna get into it. And so earlier we had to kind of drop some information on you guys, so we didn't actually get into her story, but I want you guys to keep in mind that all of this information that we're discussing, especially on the last one, is all happened simultaneously during the same time period around the early 1900s, 1920s. Like a lot of these things are what really became the crux of the downfall of Negro society um, prior to now. So we're going to be diving into Sarah Rector. We're going to be discussing or shedding more light on the fallacies that these Eurocentric historians write when they're writing our story. This is why at America Media, we are focused on narrating our own story, right? And because if you allow somebody else to write your story, there's no telling what they're going to say about you. And who else to tell your story but you? Okay. So, there's some things within Sarah Rector's story that mm, is not quite right, especially based on my personal research and research of a lot of people that we know. There's a lot of fallacies within the lines of these articles that have been written about our people. So, me and Z, we're going to kind of intricately pick away at a lot of this stuff that has been written about her and shed some light and give you guys more information and context around what was actually going on at the time that Sarah Rector was living and why some of the things that were written is a bunch of lies, pretty much. So yeah, Z, you here?
I'm here, baby. I'm here.
So you have anything to add on to what I just said?
No, you got it. I'm ready. This train in motion. Let's go.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so first thing, as far as it's like we really want to go ahead and kind of establish who Sarah Rector was, right? Her heritage and the people that she descend from, so that there will be no misconceptions about who they were, where they came from, and what they actually called themselves. So, I want to read from now. Pers- I'm going to read from this wiki, and the only reason why I'm reading from this wiki is because it actually echoes all the other articles, but it's organized in a way that we can kind of break it down from her early childhood to later on in her life. So this is the only reason why I'm
Hmm.
using it. Okay. So let's talk about Miss Rector. So Sarah Rector was born in 1902 near the all black town of Taft. Okay. All black town of Taft, located in the eastern portion of Oklahoma, and what was then Indian territory.
Hmm.
Okay. She had five siblings. Rector's parents, Rose McQueen, and her husband, Joseph Rector. So her mother name was Rose McQueen, and her husband, Sarah's father, was Joseph Rector. Okay, were the black children of Creek Indians before the Civil War, and were descendants of the Muskogee Creek Nation after the Treaty of 1866. Okay, Z, I'm gonna let you take up because my baby need my attention real quick. So I'm gonna let you take a little crack at those few sentences while I go take care of him.
Okay. No problem at all. First and foremost, let's just pay attention to what year she said. 1866, right? So we all know what supposedly happened the year before in 1865. So if what was happening in 1865 was really happening, how in 1866 do you have this little girl who is the descendant of Creek Indians of the Muskogee Nation in 1866. Just something about that don't add up to me. It just don't.
Well,
It don't add up.
so she was actually born in 1902. Um, and like you said, 1865 was what the Emancipation, right? Proclamation, the
Mm-hmm.
freeing of the quote unquote slaves. So now they say that she was the her grandparents or whatever were Creek Indians, but yet in the same sentence they call them black,
Mm.
which is a contradiction to
Yeah.
me.
A great contradiction on all parts.
Were the black grandchildren of Creek Indians before the Civil War? So they were Creek Indians before the Civil War. What happened to them after the Civil War? Oh, did Walter Plecker come in and change their identity to black, Negro, and colored?
Oh, reclassification. Huh. Hmm. Sounds familiar.
Sounds very familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because they were. It says. And it's so interesting that they always they'll say, oh, they were the descendants of the Creeks, but they Negroes and they African Americans.
You,
Like, it
you
don't
know,
make sense.
it don't. Cause how do that's what caught me the last time. So this is what to piggyback off of last week when we started talking about her and you said her name and I immediately went to go get information about her so that I could see from my own eye. The fact that they had her being the descendant of Creek Indians of the Muskogee Nation and that she was African American all in the same sentence it blew my mind. How can you sit here and justify that makes sense at all?
Because these are the games that they play, and this is the reason why I thought the Sarah Rector story was important because there's so many contradictions right there for people to see,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can think and question. Maybe what they're talking about, maybe what they're saying is actually factual.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not making this up.
No, this is
No
for the
way,
raw
no
eye to
how.
see. You can go Google her, and this is going to come up this way. Like
Absolutely.
it's here. It's there for anyone to see it.
So they were living in Taft, Oklahoma. Okay. Now we said that the emancipation, the Civil War, all of that, 1865.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are there a whole bunch of niggas over in Oklahoma living in Indian territory?
Niggas. Whatever y'all want to call yourselves, niggas, black people, us.
Now I Google how many Negro towns were there in Oklahoma at this time. It said over 50. Over 50. And remind you, this territory was not supposed to be a part of the United States at this point. They had quote unquote removed, okay, the Indian Removal Act, the Trail of Tears, which happened in 1830 to 1850, 60, something like that. Anyway, these people were supposed to be removed from where the colonies were, the states had ratified or whatever, and they was in this area. They was not a part of the U.S. corporation. So what are these niggas doing over here in Oklahoma? If they supposed to be the property of the U.S.
Yes,
corporation.
slaves. What these niggas doing over here by themselves, governing their own mentals, governing them own selves, their own land, their own shit. And what year was this? This was
Sarah Rector,
1866 that you starting
no,
this story off at?
oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
1830 when they were supposed to start at the Indian, the Trail of Tears, baby. But
Mm-hmm.
but what they would tell you is that they were freedmen, aka slaves of the Indians. Now y'all know God dang go well ain't no Native Americans had us in no motherfucking slavery. That shit ain't going girl.
Mm-hmm.
They trying to say Native Americans like the Mongoloids had y'all in captivity. Now we know that was not gonna happen.
When they had just got here, their own damn self. The hell? They got us enslaved, but we got about 50 towns over in Oklahoma. We just living free with 50 towns living, but we slaves to some natives that was here after we got after they got here after us. Okay.
But let me tell y'all what was actually happening and why her family was probably considered slaves. Okay,
Mm.
I'm about to drop some shit on y'all. Y'all probably never heard or may have heard in the wind, but didn't quite understand. However, because I got the proof to back it up, what was happening during this time is that Negroes who were the plantation owners, who were the farmers, who owned their own lands and businesses, hired their family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their family were their slaves. If you go look up the etymology of family, okay, it says servants of the household.
What it mean? What it mean again?
Servants of the household. Slaves. Well, no, let me take that back. I have to correct myself. Because slave means Slav. And we could never be a slave or a Slav because a slave is an ethnicity, which is those people over there
Mm-hmm.
in Western Europe, okay? So we could never be a slave. So, family, if you call somebody your family, okay, they were your servants. And so, in turn, we're talking about Creek Indians who had their families working on their farms, who were in turn classified as their slaves. Because that just was the system. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Because that's what they were used to using over there. I'm sorry. Just,
Absolutely.
just it's the trickery of the words. It's the trichoniconology.
Right. So, you were just an employee of your family members. So when the quote unquote Emancipation Proclamation came, that disrupted your family business. Because now your family decided to go and work for probably the white man at this time. Because you was probably too, you know how we are. We are so harsh on ourselves, baby. And so we probably was whipping each other, down to the field. And so, that's probably how you got your runaways and stuff like that. Like people was run away from their home, okay? Not from no white man. It was you.
Mm-hmm. And then they
But
flip it
so
around and have us saying, "Well, my family owned slaves." No, that's not in the sense of what we're talking about, and not in the sense of what was happening back then. Like she said, they were separating families, y'all. They were coming in and destroying the familiar systems that we had as people, what we had thrived off of and lived through and by for many, many years. They came in and destroyed our systems, and family was one of them.
yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
And turned us into employees because that word didn't come about until 1850.
Absolutely. So, Sarah's father, Joseph, was the son of John Rector, a Creek freeman. See, that's where they throw in that term freeman in, but how, let me just keep on reading. John Rector's father, Benjamin McQueen, was enslaved by Riley Grayson. Now, like I was telling Z the other day, this Riley Grayson person, I bet you a bottom dollar that he was somebody in the community or he was a family member twice removed or something. Probably was a cousin or something that they was working
Hmm.
for. But they were all Creeks because it says that he was a Creek Indian himself. Okay. John Rector's mother, Molly McQueen, uh she was a Muskogee because I ain't gonna get into that. Okay. Mm. Now at the age, okay, because of the treaties that was made between the U.S. and the Creek Muskogee, the U.S. had to allot every Creek Indian a certain amount of land, even the children. So that's why at the age of 5, Sarah was allotted 159.14 acres of land. Now they say that the land that they gave her was terrible land. Um, and so they really couldn't do anything with it. Her father, well, of course, this is something else I didn't understand. You guys, they was in Indian territory, supposed to be out of the jurisdiction of the United States because this is not supposed to be a part of the United States. But they had to pay taxes on their land
Hmm. Sounds like thievery to me.
because in the story it says that the annual property taxes was $30.
Hmm.
Her father couldn't because Sarah was only 5. Her father couldn't afford the $30, so he tried to sell the land. And per the treaty that they had with the U.S. corporation, the selling of the land was not allowed. So his petition was denied, okay, because of certain restrictions were placed on the land. So he was required to continue paying the taxes.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
what end up happening is, and I'm gonna let you go into this Z, is that they decided to rent out the land to the Standard Oil Company, aka John D. Rockefeller.
Hmm.
Okay. And they used an independent oil driller whose name was B.B. Jones. They started extracting so much damn oil off of this land that this baby became the richest girl in the fucking world.
Mm, baby, baby, baby. But how did Rockefeller come to extract this oil off of these people's land?
Can I tell you my theory? Because I think it's a
Yes,
setup.
absolutely.
I think they were intentionally giving the babies these parcels of land.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that these lands were quote unquote barren.
No.
I think it was a setup, and they knew that these goddamn lands had oil. Okay? So, what you do is you give it to the babies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so when these parents come in and say, "Oh, we can't pay the taxes, we don't know what to do with the land," what you do? You slide your slithering snake ass over there and be like, "Well, let's test and see if it got some oil on it." And lo and behold, there's some oil on these babies' land. Now, although Sarah became the richest little girl in the world, these people was making 80% of her money. She only got like 20%. Because at one point, they was giving her like, I'm gonna have to go back. I think it was like 30 or $300 a day when she was supposed to be making like, let's see, $2,000 a day, something like that. Some ridiculous number. But um yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a setup to me. Sounds like they knew what was going on, and it sounds like because they gave it to the children. Like we were talking about before, I just really feel like there were some poor business decisions made based off of the setup, how they had it set up, giving the land to the babies, knowing that this land has this type of treasure in it, and then now we can come and we can run game on the parents, and we can take this
Yes.
over.
Yes. So remember we was watching all these videos that was shot by Solomon Sir Jones, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in these videos, we began to notice on all of these people, black Negroes, and all over Oklahoma, we began to notice oil rigs in their yards, right?
Mm-hmm. In their
So,
backyards.
right. So, my mind, I'm like, these motherfuckers already been doing this shit. Ain't nobody teach
Mm-hmm.
them that. Like, they
No,
know this shit.
they knew they had oil. They've been doing this. So it makes the story of Sarah Rector the way they started off, like, yeah, enslaved. These were the black descendants of the Muskogee Creek Indians. No, y'all. We gotta start dismantling some of the bullshit and call it bullshit when you hear it. Because what we saw
Right.
didn't say shit, didn't look like shit about these folk ain't know that they had oil on their land.
Absolutely. Well, I confirmed my suspicion, right? Have you ever heard of, uh, there you go.
I'm back.
Have
I'm
you
back. I'm back.
have you ever heard of the term Creekology?
Yes, I have.
Do you know what that means?
No, I don't. I've heard it, but I don't know exactly what it means.
Okay. So, like I said, when we was watching those videos, I'm like, girl, they already knew what the hell going on. So I run
Hmm.
across this term, Creekology, which means Creekology is a petroleum prospecting method.
Mm.
The Creeks had already perfected this motherfucking method. They knew what they were doing. So
Mm.
you can't tell me no pale skins just come in out of nowhere teaching them they own shit.
Hmm.
They learn, and it's still called Creekology to this day. Z.
Mm.
They just revive. It's called New Creekology, baby. Uh, they just throw they European shit on there or whatever. But yes, it's called Creekology. Okay, petroleum prospecting method, and like I
Wow.
suspected, they had already been doing this. So again, how did these white folks come in and teach these Negroes how to prospect for petroleum?
They didn't.
So is this story a lie?
Sounds like it. If it quack like a duck and walk like a duck, shit, it's a fucking duck.
Because we were looking at these videos, right? Like I said, the first thing we noticed were these people had oil rigs on their goddamn land. All of them. Okay,
Everybody.
they build their own rigs. They were operating their own rigs, and this isn't all over Oklahoma at the same time. So you mean to tell me this little girl and her father didn't know any Negroes in Oklahoma who knew how to do this Creekology?
When they probably their neighbors up miles away were already doing the same thing. So how are you trying to tell me that this man wasn't doing this on his daughter's land and he had every right to do so? And I just feel like you said, it was a setup and they moved in on her because they found them as a target because Standard Oil,
Yeah,
like we
but
said, belongs to Rockefeller. And he began to do business with this man on his daughter's land. I just,
was it that they were teaching him?
let's go. Were they?
I think they were teaching this man some things, and he went and undercut they ass because also I know that John D. Rockefeller came to Sarah Rector to to borrow money to start the Standard Oil Company.
Hmm. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me because the story that they're telling makes no sense when you use this child as exactly what they as a poster child. This whole situation as a poster child situation to say this is how all of this came about because
I'm
the
glad you said
oil
that, Z,
just from
because
that.
I'm gonna let you
No, go
go,
ahead.
but I want you to. I'm glad you said that because I got my slide. I got this question up here, and I'm gonna let you
Hmm.
get into it. The question is, why did they choose Sarah Rector?
Absolutely.
Why was
Why?
her story so important when we had all of these little kids going through the same thing who had oil on their land? And not to mention all of the adults that we were seeing that had
Yeah.
oil on their lands all
Yeah.
over Oklahoma who were actually very wealthy. Why did they choose Sarah Rector? I'm gonna let you go ahead and go in.
But that's the thing. Why was she the poster child? Because what else did we learn? Didn't we learn that this oil that her land was producing was providing oil to the entire world, y'all? Not just a small part of America, not just maybe Europe and America and Central America. We talking about the world, Craig.
Want y'all to let that sink in. What
It,
Z is
yeah.
saying that Oklahoma oil, Southern oil, Indian oil, was the number one producing oil in the world. We were providing oil all across the fucking world. Craig,
Not the
like Z
country.
say.
Yeah, not the country. All over the world. The
These
Creekology method, like
Negroes,
Sid said.
we were who we supposed to be compared to today? These Middle Eastern countries. We were them.
Mm-hmm.
So why do y'all think they bombed y'all asses in the 1920s? You done got beside yourself.
Oh yeah. Just like Gaza, the Gaza Strip is up and they battling over there in Palestine and Israel. It's because it's a reason, y'all.
Let me say, this oil they die for. They
Yeah.
kill over. And what I'm saying in this Sarah Rector story is the reason why, one of the reasons why they were slaughtering us in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Bombing us. Y'all. Y'all don't get it? Simplicity is so genius. It's just simple. It ain't complicated like how they create it to be. It's not. It's very simplistic. It boils down to one word: greed.
You was some rich Negroes. They could not stand the fact that you had all of what you had. They envied you.
And just look at the time frame, y'all. Look at the time frame that this was happening. It correlates with what we were talking about earlier. All of the time frame is close in proximity. Sarah was born in 1902, and I think this started around.
1913.
I'm back. I think this started around what? This started around like what? 1920?
1913.
1930. Yeah.
No. Yeah, so 1913.
Okay, 1913, which is what I was talking about earlier when I was telling y'all from 1910 to 1913, y'all. Good old Woodrow Wilson allowed for all his friends to gather around and meet and figure out how to centralize our banking and all of the things. And there were plenty of banking going on in Oklahoma. It was, and there were
Baby,
plenty of, we had banks all across the country. Niggas, don't let them fool you about this whole
all
Wall Street
through
story.
the black belt, baby. What they call it? What I call it? The black belt. All
Yes.
through the black belt.
We owned everything where we were. We owned our land, we owned our businesses, we owned our banks.
And we had our own currency. That's what they did not like.
Yes, and they were not a part of it. And we had control because we were providing oil to the world. And a big part of that source came from Oklahoma. So why not? You think they ain't gonna bomb us? They in our country. They done already colonized us to a certain extent. They've already come in here and bullied and taken over different parts of the country and pushed us off into certain territories. We had to sign treaties with these niggas.
How about you had the oil in the Midwest, the cotton in the South, and the gold on the West Coast?
This was ours. Did y'all listen to what Trey Ali was saying earlier on that one song when he was talking about California and Chief Khalifa? Y'all not paying attention to things that are being said. Like there is information out here to be obtained, y'all. What we saying, we not making this up. It's not speculation. It ain't another old story. Like there's all kinds of these stories that they have out here where they convolute and they mix up information. No, this is what was really going on. From 1910 to 1913, they sat and they met in secret and planned to take over, to centralize banking. When these people come in and talk about centralization of a thing, always understand it is for one source of control, so that they have the control, and whatever is included in that centralization does not. And they want to run it all the same, their way, so the benefit comes one way. And so they declared war on us.
Oh, girl, what did I drop about that flag, girl?
Baby, talking about blow your pimp back cap blue, however
we gotta get on this. We gotta be able to share screen. We gotta get on Twitch or something, because we can't talk this shit on YouTube. That better shut our ass down.
Quickly. No, yeah. I mean, talk about it. We have the way Oklahoma was set up with all of their banking, and they had the oil there, and like we had oil in the Midwest here, and there was cotton down south, and there was gold on the West Coast. They had to make a statement. So they hit Oklahoma because Oklahoma was a big source, because it was a lot of oil coming out of there. And they infiltrated this little girl and her family. And then they blew up all of the banks and shit all over the country. They didn't just blow up the banks and terrorize Oklahoma's Black Wall Street. They did it to every place they could all over the country to send a message. And so now Oklahoma is now the staple message, so that everybody can remember. Fear tactics to scare you niggas, to let y'all know, don't forget what we did.
That should show y'all that we was not a part of their system. Because what if we was producing for the U.S. corporation, they would have no reason to bomb us like that, right?
That part.
What did John Breck say? Autonomy over equality. We was operating in our autonomy, baby.
Sound like freedom to me.
I don't think we truly went into slavery until the 1980s. That's just my theory.
Talk about it. So understand, when the Great Depression came,
he's dropping us some gems, baby.
If you understand, and if y'all pay attention to even the pictures that depicted the times during the Great Depression, you ain't see us. You saw them stacked up in one-bedroom apartments or efficiency apartment buildings, living poorly because they didn't have nothing. We had something
We
because this was our land and we were running our land and living off of our system. So they wanted to centralize our banks with their banks because they were doing poorly and they fell into a Great Depression. That didn't have nothing to do with us. I remember seeing pictures and hearing about the Great Depression a lot. And when I see stuff in history and they would do documentaries, I never saw a lot of colored people in those documentaries. I don't think I saw colored people at all in those documentaries. But I saw a lot of pale faced people living poorly in the Great Depression.
How are you, fresh out of slavery, owning 14 million acres of land? You remember this whole time we've been saying we didn't get our 40 acres in a mule, okay? Which we did because the slaves, the white people got their 40 acres in a mule, okay? That's who they were talking about. That's the Homestead Act. So how are you, as the slave, owning all the land? And guess how much land they was owning at the same time, Z? While we
How
was
much?
owning 14 million lands, they only own 1.6
Hmm. Sounds like we owned the
through
country.
the Homestead Acts.
Sounds like we owned the country because the country was ours.
Y'all better wake up, honestly.
This is how we connected to what's going on in Palestine and Israel. Because what's happening to them over there is the same things that happened to us and still happening to us, y'all. It's just so ingrained in us now, generation to generation to generation, ingrained.
This is and I'm gonna use the term that I say nobody should be using unless they get a diagnosis. How narcissistic of these people to come to a country and be mad that you own all the land, that you are the richest. How dare you? I want to break this down. So, can I read this article? Because this about to show y'all how pissed off they were that you were the landlords and you was making all the money. Do you mind if I read this article?
Not at all.
Because what they tried to do with Sarah, okay, y'all, we've been telling y'all that white and black is a part of the caste system and it's only a status. The idea that white, brown, and black or racial or racist is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. They made you believe it. They put you in. Well, you had to choose that box, right? They brainwash you to the point where you chose the box because they can't choose it for you because they know if they tell you you're black, they know that's against international law, that's against human right, and they cannot tell you who you are. They make you choose by influencing you, okay? Because they know that is uh racial genocide. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this article. Um, it says, and this is about Sarah Rector. It says, "White people alarmed." That's the headline. The white people have become so alarmed at the enormous wealth of this young girl that they did not like such wealth belonging to a girl of Afro American blood. Some of the whites want to enamel her, others to use skin success so that she might pass. Now, mind you, Sarah Rector was a very, very dark skinned little girl. The fact that they're talking about passing has nothing to do with her complexion. Okay. But the politicians, I can't even read that part. So let's go to the next sentence. If so, it will be the first time a brown skinned girl has been made white by law. They wanted to, she was making so much money that they wanted to change her social status from black to white. With all the traits and characteristics of an Afro American, she has too much money and must be white. It's the same old idea of the white man that whenever a Negro achieves any distinction, either in the scientific or literary world, some white men want to declare them white. When Frederick Douglass began to show his master ability as an orator and great statesman, white people wanted to claim him. Okay? And they also wanted to claim Booker T. Washington, but Booker T. Washington wasn't going for it. They also wanted to claim W.E.B. Du Bois. So, anytime you hear a lot our people talking about the bourgeoisie, all these bootlicking Negroes and things like that, that's what they be talking about because once they get a certain amount of money, their social status change. They're no longer black. They're no longer connected to the community. They no longer can identify with you socially. So what the white people doing, it's about playing with the numbers like I was telling you guys earlier in the first show. Okay. This is how they make their numbers larger. Okay. They got you thinking that black is a race. So what they do is they go into these societies and they pick out the best of the best and change their social status to white. So now they are part of what they say the good old boy club. So this is the tricky. This is why when we talk about we are not black, we don't subscribe to the social construct of black and white. This is what we're talking about because every time you say you're black, you're saying that you're on the bottom.
That's right. That's right. And just pay attention, y'all, when she was reading that, they labeled Sarah as an Afro American. Don't confuse that with African American. It is not the same thing. Afro is a term that is in regard to being natural. So all they were saying was is that she was a natural American, that she was American, meaning that her origin, her place of origin was here in America.
Say that one more time for the people in the back row.
So please, y'all, don't get it confused. So when we were pumping them afros and wearing afros that we called hairstyles, and our mamas and daddies in the 70s was having them black fists, and they was black power in this and black power in that, but they were saying we are Afro Americans because they were saying we are natural Americans. We belong here and we've always been here. There have always been movements, several movements, and what they do is they come in and they misconstrue the structure of those movements and they indoctrinate us in school and teach us whitewashed history.
Absolutely.
And now here we are
Absolutely.
today. Fast forward to 2024, and here we are,
Messed up, jumbled up,
confused.
don't know who we are, calling ourselves black. That's first and foremost, I never, even as a child, the idea of calling myself Black or African American always was a cringe for me. It was very cringe worthy. And I ain't understand why. I definitely wasn't calling myself African American. So I slid over into the black box, even though that's something I just did not agree with either. But
Yeah, same here.
so this is why it's very important for you to identify with your heritage. So you can know who you are, so you can get out the black box.
Absolutely. They know who you are. You just don't know who you are. And
And
it
they
was done on
bank
purpose.
on it.
Yeah. They bank on you not reading those jokes that we used to spread around in the community. That so y'all that was those was just forms of brainwashing. And they would plant seeds and make jokes, and then we would carry those jokes along, those stereotypes. Black people don't read. Black people don't read. But black people don't want to read. If you want to hide it from them, put it in a book. And guess what? We said that shit about ourselves so much until we started believing it, and then we started believing it, and we actually just did it. We didn't read anything. We didn't do research on our own. We relied on them to tell us everything instead of going and studying it for ourselves.
So let's go back to those videos that we view. We view multiple of them since you're talking about us not reading.
Mm.
Now, these videos show multiple Negro families. And in the video, they will always tell you who these people were. And they always had letters before they name. Am I lying, Z?
Nope, not at all. They ain't lying at all. Not at all.
It was Doctor this, attorney that, professor this, um, dean that. You know what I'm saying? These people were high status people. They had magnificent homes. So
Mm.
everything that you've been shown in the movies and the media and things of like that, you living in a shack, that is not accurate. Thanks to Solomon Sir Jones, okay, who lived during the time, and he was an amateur filmmaker who decided to film his communities around him. Thanks to him, we're able to actually take a look back to what our ancestors were actually doing, what they were actually about, how they was actually living. And me and Z kept saying, damn, these people don't look like they're sad. These people don't look like they're suffering. These people don't look like they just got out of slavery a couple years ago. These people are living their lives. They was very happy, very jovial. Like they was just living their lives like nothing didn't matter. Like there was no outside issue. Excuse me. Am
Very
I lying, Z?
civilized. Very civilized. They ain't need no civil actions or no civil rights. Look like to me, they didn't look like they were under no type of Jim Crow to me. And we saw bank account deposits. Didn't look like nobody was needing to rely
Girl.
on no governmental assistance
Ooh.
to me.
Girl. Girl. How much after the damn was it which
Bombing.
riots? Okay, it was the bombing. Was it the bombing of Tulsa?
After the bombing of Tulsa, that same year, I believe, we saw bank deposits from Oklahoma, from 4 or 5 different banks that totaled to a
Mm-hmm.
total amount of $14 million from Oklahoma alone that have been deposited into different banks, black owned banks.
So again,
Somebody better
why
math.
was Sarah Rector family so poor. We ain't seen that. And from what I gathered, all of these towns that was in Oklahoma, because we were able to see the films of these people living. I ain't seen no poor people.
Nope.
A community that looked like it helped each other. So why Sarah Rector?
I think we need to find out why. Why her? Why her family? Why deem her family? What did they deem her parents not fit to handle her affairs?
Absolutely. So yeah, get into that.
Now, even though this land belongs to this little girl, she's a minor. She had two parents. They deemed her parents not fit and gave her a handler to handle her affairs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A
So
pale
these,
face handler.
mm-hmm.
Why? How, Sway? How can her parents not be over her land and her resources? How do you even do that? Who deemed them unfit? And where did this handler come from? And again, what
Mm.
Sib said, why? Why her? Why her? How many barrels of oil was they producing a day?
Girl, I think one of these articles said 3,600 or something like that.
Mm.
At one point, I think it started off at 2,500. Another article, I think it said 3,600 later on. Do y'all know how much oil that is? That's a lot
Uh,
of oil.
enough to take over the world, Greg.
And did.
Is yes,
Right?
baby. Mm, 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 mm. It's just amazing how just a little bit of research, a little bit of digging, a little bit of reading, and stories just start to fall into place. You can't lie on the timelines, y'all. The math don't math right when you listen to what they're telling you, the stories that they're telling and that have been told. Because like I said earlier, that's why they don't need certain things no more. They don't need African American history no more. They don't need that. That tool don't work no more. And it served its purpose. While they was busy teaching African American history, stories like Sarah Rector and the real stories about what was going on in Oklahoma and the real stories about how they were centralizing the banking systems, all of that shit was happening and had happened. Meanwhile, we learning about African American history and world history and American history, which was not American history. I didn't learn none of this shit in American history.
Girl, no, baby, or else I wouldn't have been asleep. Because I love, like, history is my favorite subject. It's always been. But, baby, the way they was teaching it, I'm like, wait, ain't nobody got time for this. But I'm beginning to question the validity of this story. As we see here, now, was Sarah Rector a real person? Yes. Was she rich? Yes. Did she get wealthy off oil? Yes.
Yes.
But there's something about that beginning of the story. It just don't sit well with me.
Cause who own her land now? Cause her family don't.
Stand it all? Do they still own the baby? I don't know.
Cause I didn't hear
Do
nothing
you,
about her
yeah,
family.
baby? I'm sure they still producing oil off of it. Remember, I
Hmm.
showed you that news clip of her family.
And I'm
But
just trying to figure out why her family wouldn't still have access to whatever is happening on that land that she owned as a child. But they don't.
you never know which.
Yeah, that's right. We never know. But at the same time, if it is so, I'd like to see it.
I don't know. I have to dig even deeper because I don't think I've ever saw anybody mention what eventually happened to that land.
Hmm.
I'm sure they don't have it no more.
So sure of it.
Yeah, so again, you have this little girl who was born in Creek territory, who descended from Creek Indians.